Greetings everyone, it's day 30. Let's talk about our environment. Let's talk about our irrigation. Let's talk about everything else going on in here. Let's get into it. Guys, it's day 30. We went ahead and did our defoliation on day 28. We came in here, we cleared everything out, and I know it still looks quite dense in here, but I promise you we took a significant amount of leaves off in here and really cleared out all the inners, so you can see the access to all this stuff, the light access to this stuff is really good and clear at this point. So for those of you guys that missed day 14 update, we came through, we lollipopped on day 14, didn't really take too many fan leaves off. We pulled, you know, maybe 5-6 fan leaves after the lollipop just to allow a little bit of light penetration in, but didn't really get into stripping these girls, and honestly didn't really strip too bad on day 28. And the reason why is because of how nice and stacked everything is in here. I didn't want to just strip all the leaves completely off of them because they are producing quite well with them. In the past I've stripped more off because the plants weren't producing quite as well, so we were really trying to allow light penetration to get into all the lower buds to try to increase the yield. But this time we have really great tops, and I cleared out a significant amount. There is underlighting on that table over there. You can see it on the bottom there, and that's going to allow a lot of our lowers to be able to produce for us without so much of a strip. On this side, this is the Gorilla, and it just, you know, they still got a little bit of a stuff to clean up, but it's very heavy on its lateral branching and doesn't really grow too vertical, so it tends to look a lot bushier than it actually is. On the King Louis, we did clear out a significant amount. There's quite a lot of light penetration in here, but I did leave quite a bit of leaves up in this upper canopy because it's an OG, and you can see how slender a lot of these leaves are here. They're really going to allow a lot of light penetration deeper into the canopy. Now, one thing I did notice, and I've always noticed it on this King Louis, is it's very light sensitive, and it tends to want to get a little spindly. So you can see stuff like this. It tends to want to get a little spindly right about now. It doesn't like to have too high of an EC, which I kind of messed up, and I should have put this with all of our candies in place of the Skywalkers, because not only does it not like a lot of nutrients, it doesn't like a lot of water as well. So, and the Gorillas love water. They drink like crazy. So what I should have done in hindsight is put the Skywalkers with the Gorillas, but yeah, I basically fucked up and put them on this side. So what I did with the King Louis table, so what I mean by light sensitivity, so if you look over here, and a lot of these lowers here, they got a little more bulbous structure. They got a little bit nicer structure on the bottom. You know, they're looking pretty uniform. And then when you come over here and you look at these tops, they look like they're starting to space out a little bit. So stuff like this. And again, the King Louis always does this right around week 5, right about now. And it gets like a little bit of stem elongation. Very weird. but at the end it does swell up for us. So I try not to. I see it every time, and I start to get a little bit of panic, but I try not to think too much into it. Just let it ride out. Skywalkers, just guys, I told you I topped these things 3 times before flip. I super crop them every day, and they just grew and grew and grew. And no matter how much I adjusted the irrigation strategy, I couldn't get them to stop stretching. As soon as we went into bulk, they gave me another 6 inches. It was very weird. Day 21 comes and they gave me like another 6 to 8 inches going into day 25, day 26. They're still kind of stretching. Everything else got a little bit of a stretch too. You know, all of our candies back there, you can see the EP.5s are, you know, they stretch quite a bit. But and then our phenos did the same thing. Our phenos actually, which is crazy because our phenos are both very tall strains. So the fact that they didn't stretch very much for me is a little surprising. But you can see these are the phenos. So this is the push cake, the wedding cake, JBZ's wedding cake crossed with a push OG from like 2007, 2008. Just a strain that got some genetic drift. So this is pheno 1. It's actually pheno 12. So this is 12, and this is the 7. And I like the 7. The 7 structure looks great. I mean, this thing's gonna dense up real nice for us. It's starting to give us a little bit of terps, so I can kind of get a flavor profile on it. It seems like it's leaning a little bit more towards the Kush side, the OG Kush side. So that's good. I'm happy with that. It has a very unique smell and a very unique structure and taste on it. As far as its parents go, and the wedding cake's giving it a little bit of sweetness to the Kush, so that's great. Hopefully this thing gives us something special here. Both of those strains were super heavy yielders, so I'm looking forward to that, and in hopes that everything gets bumping. These things are getting pushed like crazy. These girls are eating like nobody's business, and they're just really consuming the food that I'm giving them, which is surprising. So like this plant here, you see it's looking a little pale, this one plant here, versus everything else in the back there. But I think it's just because this plant's getting a very efficient amount of light sitting in the middle. It's like middle, so it's getting just blasted with photons. This is our Skywalker. Our Skywalker's doing good. Also eating a bunch. So what I've had to do is just up the food on them just a little bit. I didn't really adjust the actual input of the food going into them. I just gave them a little bit more dry back to increase the EC in the block, just 1 or 2 nights out of the week, and really just push that side a little bit to make sure that we're getting a little bit higher EC on that side, so they have a little bit more food to eat inside of there. But we don't want to do it too much. We don't want to dry stress these plants. Not too much right now. We're in bulk, so that was just like 1 or 2 days that I let them do that, and then we went right back to our normal schedule. So speaking of our normal schedule, we are in bulk phase, bulk feed. So somebody was asking in the comments to do a video on my irrigation strategies. Now, I've done a video in the past at the big facility, and that was pretty much a standard generalization of what we're gonna do for our irrigation. But I guess I can go into exactly what it is that's going on in this room. Before we do that, we'll just talk a little bit about our parameters. So like I said, it is day 30. We're in mid-bulk right now, really just keeping these plants happy. We finally dropped our temperature. We went from 82 degrees. We're now at 80 degrees. We dropped our relative humidity. So now we're sitting at about 66, 60, 65, anywhere between 60 and 66. You know, that's kind of where I like to be. So here, I'll give you a little. So we are day 30 right now, and we're running 80, 78 at night, 66 during the day, 64 at night, 1100 ppms of CO2, and then our day and night VPDs are right here. Our dew points are there. So this is essentially the schedule that we're gonna run and follow throughout the whole cycle. It goes by day because things change by day in the garden. You know, you got 60 days in here, and every single day counts. And if you do the math, it's like a significant amount of percentage of the overall growth cycle, the whole life cycle of these plants is a significant amount of percentage every single day. So we want to really try to dial things in every single day. I know everything's not going to be perfect, but we just try to strive for perfection. And when we are going to fall short, and when we do, we try to learn from our mistakes and move forward. So that's exactly what we did. Last run, we ran a little bit of high EC. We ran a little bit harder drybacks. We had a little bit better expressions on the plants, a little bit down on the biomass. So in order to get the biomass up, we got to really give them cues to put on that biomass. And in order to do that, they need more water, they need more feed, they need more, pretty much a little bit of everything. And that's what we're doing this run. So, but exactly how I said, they need a little bit more feed, they need little bit more balanced feed. So last time I was pushing my EC, we had an EC running off at like 8 at some points, 9 I think it got up to, and that's just a little too much. I was trying a little too hard, going a little too extreme on these girls. So we're going back to our normal 4 to 6, in between 4 to 6 runoff on our EC. Our pH is going in at 6.0 and coming out at about anywhere between 5.8 and 6.2. It's gotten up to about 6.4 at times, and then we just adjust our input, bring it down a little bit lower. You know, the plants eat different things, different amount of things at different cycles, and that's going to make your pH fluctuate up or down depending on what is coming out on the other end. You know, if they're using a little bit more potassium and phosphorus, it's going to swing one way. If they're losing a little bit more nitrogen, it's going to swing the other way, and etc., etc. So irrigation strategy. So we are in bulk, and if you remember, for generative growth in here, we really wanted to stress the drybacks, push the drybacks, bring the EC up, set the flowers, get them going, and then slowly drop that EC down. Day 14, we come through, we give them a nice big flush, drop the EC back down between 4 and 6. I finished at about, I think I let them settle on day 14 after my flush at about 5 EC coming out, and then we just up the waterings. And we up the waterings to steadily bring the EC back down as we're going into bulk. Really just sending these things the signals to, like, hey, put on biomass, you're good, don't worry. We got a nice rain that came in. You know, we're trying to emulate nature here, so you know, that's kind of what we're doing. We got a nice, you know, spring rain going into summer. So as far as our irrigation goes right now, at this exact point, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing. So lights turn on 10 p.m. Really run my lights later on in the day to try to save on power, and it's the middle of summer, so we want to try to turn them on at a cooler part of the day and not have them go too far into the day the next day and pick up that heat that starts coming early during the summer. So turn on at 10 o'clock, lights turn on at 10 o'clock. An hour and a half in, we go ahead and give them their first feed. First feed, 250 milliliters to every plant. And then we're gonna do a half an hour, every half an hour for the next 2 hours, we're going to give them another 250 mils till we push about 1,200 mils through them. Get our first set of runoff. So lights turn on at 10, First watering is at 11:30. Next watering is at 12. Next watering is at 12:30. Next watering is at 1. So that's 4 waterings. That's 1,000 milliliters that's gonna get pushed through them. Then we let them dry back for an hour, and then we hit them at 1 o'clock with 200 milliliters. So that's now 1,200 milliliters that went through there. And then it's gonna be every 2 hours after that, all the way until 2 hours after lights off. So we go 1 o'clock, we go 3 o'clock, we go 5 o'clock, we go 7 o'clock. Right? Yeah, 7 o'clock. And that's actually giving us 3 hours of dry back before lights off, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. Like I said, we don't want to run too low of an EC in here, because then these girls start getting hungry, i.e. that plant and a couple of others that are in there that look like they're in need of a little bit more food. Now, the production is not going down on these guys. Like the mass on these girls, the trikes, the secondary metabolites is all where I want it to be. So I'm not too concerned. I'm hoping they don't get too pale. Again, when you're running so many plants in your garden, you're gonna have 1, 2, 5 plants that just aren't doing as well as everything else, and you kind of got to eat that. You can't panic and change everybody else's diet to fix one plant that is either deficient or ahead of everything else that's just using a little bit more food, because one, it has a little bit more root mass. Maybe the pH in the block, in that specific block right there, is just getting put up or down because of X, Y, or Z. The EC could be spiking in there, because remember, if you're gonna have a bigger root mass in a certain plant, or if something took off a little bit more, they're gonna be eating more food. They just have more access to it due to the fact that they have more roots inside of there. So when you're running something this big here, I mean, this as many plants as there is in here, you got to remember that these are all living things, and they're all going to grow different. They're all going to have their different expressions. They're going to have, sorry guys, camera cut out. Yeah, so they're a little bit more vigorous than everything around them. So, but again, you can't really change the whole irrigation strategy to fix 1 or 2 plants. You kind of just gotta let them ride it out, let them figure it out, and hope that they can either stay stable or everything else is gonna catch up with them. But that's pretty much it as far as bulk goes. So yeah, we're pushing it. It's about 2,000 milliliters through them throughout the day, and on the other end of that, so our drybacks are about 30%, so we're pushing, our fill capacity on these is between 25 and 2,800 milliliters in the rock wool. So, we're pushing 2,000 milliliters. If our drybacks are 30%, they're drying back probably about 800 milliliters throughout the night, and we're pushing, double that through them throughout the day. And they're eating throughout the day, so as far as our P1 goes, and bringing our plants up to filled capacity early in the day with that 1,000 milliliters, we're getting about 15-20% runoff, and then our maintenance shots, we're getting very little runoff on our maintenance shots throughout the night. Our maintenance shots are just maintaining the moisture inside of that block so that they are happy. They don't get no dry pockets, nothing like that. Like I said, this last video, we have been hand watering every week, and that's been working out perfect for us, because I've been coming through and noticing that some of these plants are getting a little bit dry. So like I just said, some of these plants in here are going to be a little more finicky. Some are going to be eating a little more, some are going to be eating a little less, some are going to have a higher EC in the block, some are going to have a higher pH. So the best thing to do, the best thing that is going to happen by coming in and hand watering and resetting the medium. Again, we're not I guess reset is a bad word. I'm not trying to wipe all the nutrients out of the block. What I mean by reset is reset the dry spots in the block, reset the channeling, the channeling structures that have developed in the block by giving them these dry backs, things like that. You're really just saturating the block fully, so that way all the little dry pockets and everything else is going to get flushed out and just made into an even EC inside of the rock wool, as even as possible. You know, you got to imagine that there's going to be salts in there that are going to get stuck and stuff like that, but what you do is you just hope that that next irrigation for the next day just finishes the work and pulls everything else out of it. Been having obviously great results in here with that strategy, so I think I'm just going to continue to do that all the way through. And again, guys, the paleness on a couple of those plants is just to tell you how much these girls are eating, because you can see how dark and deep green that these OGs are. And these OGs eat calcium and nitrogen like crazy, and they're the first to usually show deficiencies. So, and that's not the case. Our gorillas are looking fantastic as well, all nice and dark green. And I just think that the candies over there are just eating. So that's pretty much it, guys. We are gonna run this out. We're gonna just continue this strategy all the way through week 5, all the way through week 6, until we get to about week 7, and then we might start playing with the irrigation levels just a little bit, depending on what the plants are telling me, how much water they're eating throughout the day, and what exactly is going on. And when that time comes, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But as of right now, we're just running that watering schedule just the way it is, pushing all that water through them, really trying to maintain our runoff. That is really our key contributor to what it is that we are going to be setting up for our irrigation strategies weekly. Is just maintaining that runoff as best as possible. We want it between 4 and 6 EC. Now, if you're running in cocoa, you could run a little bit higher on your EC runoff, but that's where I run in rock wool. That's where I found the best results. Last run, we pushed it to where I was getting 7, 8, 9 EC sometimes coming out on the runoff. And like I said, great genetic expression, great trichome production, just not very much biomass. And I just can't have that. I gotta meet in the middle between getting nug size and bag appeal versus just getting little buds that are not very developed and have a little bit more trikes on them, but not very much more cannabinoid, like secondary metabolites as far as our cannabinoids go. They're not developing any more THC in them. It's more just a little bit different profile, a little bit different structure on them, and they're pretty, don't get me wrong, but very small, not very nice bag appeal once you get them in there, because they are so small. So we got to try to find the balance, guys. Balance between getting nice enough bag appeal on them, but good smoke, good smell, good terpenes, good profile. So I'm hoping to find the balance where, like I said, this is kind of exactly what I do at our main facility, with a couple of different tweaks, like adding the PK1314 and really the hand waterings and a couple of other things like that, you know. But everything else that we've talked about all this whole season is pretty much what the difference is, because at my other facility, it's mainly just A and B all the way through until the cake, and that's pretty much what we do. So here, I'm running the PK1314. We are going to switch over to the cake per usual, and finish them out like we usually do. But anyway, I'm rambling now, guys. If I did miss anything, let me know down in the comments below. hopefully by the end of this run, I can figure out some kind of giveaway to do to you guys. If you guys have any kind of, this is for the people that watch to the end, okay? Because this is who I want to have value from this channel, and this is who I want to be able to get these prizes if I do give them out. So if you guys have an idea, maybe like a CO2 regulator or any kind of little grow equipment, you know, that's $100 anywhere, $200 or less, you know what I mean, that you guys feel that you would want to, or anything that I'm using in my garden that you guys feel like you guys would want as a giveaway, put it down in the comments down below, and maybe by the end of this run we could do you guys a little giveaway and send somebody out a prize, and just randomly pick somebody in the comments. And I'm gonna try to mention this at the end of every video for the rest of this run, and whoever does stay till the end of the video will have a chance to win whatever it is. And I'll try to decide what that is, but I need suggestions from you guys. Only you can prevent forest fires. Anyway, happy farming, guys. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Like, sub, leave a comment down below. Algorithm doesn't give a shit about us cannabis channels, so if you guys can really just comment down below, doesn't matter, just throw an emoji, anything, and just give this video some traction, let it get out there. I appreciate you guys once again. Happy farming. Talk to you later. Peace.